Hi there, and welcome to Alaska's Political Pipeline. I'm political reporter Wil Courtney. Today we have a little bit of a different conversation for you today. This is again with Senator Dan Sullivan, who you've heard several times on the podcast, but this was after his remarks during the Make It Monday Forum. That's the monthly forum held by the Anchorage Chamber of Commerce. Now, a little bit about what he was talking about. He was largely talking about the Big Beautiful Bill. That's a somewhat controversial bill that passed earlier this year. He has often called it the Alaska Opportunity Act, talking about some of those big wins, things like increased defense spending, the Rural Health Transformation Fund, a whole laundry list of items. He spoke for over an hour. But this conversation that I had with him was after that conversation. While we didn't really talk too much about the Big Beautiful Bill, we did talk about things that are affecting Alaska today. Take a listen.
Okay, let me start with a statement here, right? Because I want you to, so Wil, it's great to be home. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
What I've been doing all over the state is I've been giving that presentation to dozens and dozens of people. When I'm in DC, I do one of those a day. We've even had days where I've done 3 of those a day. When I'm home, I try to do at least 1 a day. And what it is, it's describing the budget reconciliation bill, that no state did better than we did on that. A lot of the issues in that bill we have been talking about for decades, some almost a half century, and we are literally moving from talk to action on resource development, on the gas line, on ANWR, on NPRA, on icebreakers, on strengthening our healthcare system, on revising our air traffic control system, on keeping taxes low for Americans. That bill for our state is a home run, reopening the ADAC naval stations. All in there's all facts, the money's there, and what we're trying to do is say, hey Alaska, giant opportunity, let's work together. The state, you saw there were some state legislators there, let's work together and seize it, but it's exciting. And so it's, what I've been doing, I've probably done 60 of those, and all comers, all Q&A, so it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I just have a couple.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about the LNG initiative that you were kind of mentioning.
Yeah.
The Legislative Budget and Audit Committee met last week to talk with the president of AK LNG, Glenn Farn, a little bit about what's coming next. And the big topic from that was legislation that needs to be made from the legislature. You mentioned in your speech today that this LNG pipeline is not a guarantee. Oh, no. Where do you kind of stand on its momentum right now?
Look, I've been working on this issue way before I was a U.S. Senator because it's so important. You saw what I laid out there. Imagine Alaska with this project, 50 to 100 years of low-cost gas. For our community, that's number one, but for our military base here and for our allies in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and what really has changed, the change of administrations was huge. You know, the previous administration, I show that chart of 70 executive orders by Biden and his team trying to shut us down. John Kerry, his climate czar, literally went over to Korea, Japan, told them, don't buy American LNG, don't buy Alaska LNG. Now you have President Trump and his team going over these countries saying, buy it from Alaska, right? You saw the president highlighted this in his State of the Union address earlier this year. So what I've been doing on the federal side is getting the federal government fully supportive from the President of the United States on down. They are. That's one thing that's exciting. Then I've been legislating. Senator Murkowski and I, in the bipartisan infrastructure bill, got loan guarantees for that project. It's the only LNG project in the country that has the full faith and credit of the United States of America backing it with loan guarantees. We index those to inflation, which ended up being very smart because, you know, we've had a lot of inflation. So we think the loan guarantees are in the ballpark of about $30 billion. And then in this budget reconciliation bill, what I call the Alaska Opportunity Act, not only we have these great provisions on ANWR and NPRA and Cook Inlet, but we have this new energy dominance financing facility that is meant for the federal government Department of Energy to help finance large-scale infrastructure projects. So I was just with the Secretary of Energy last week, with the CEO of Glenfarne, they made this big announcement about Baker Hughes, one of the largest LNG technical developers in the world, is now partnering to build this project. There was a big signing in front of the Secretary of Interior, Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, and I was at the signing, and they are saying that they're going to utilize this new facility to help bring down the cost. So, look, I've been working on this for a long time, and I tell people, hey, it's not there yet, but I've never seen more momentum. I've never seen a federal government from President Trump on down who are trying to make it happen. And as I said in there, if we get this done, think about it, low cost energy for 50 to 100 years, we could do anything. Yeah. You know, we could have data centers, we could do small scale manufacturing because of our strategic location. If we don't get it done, okay? This is what, when there's the naysayers, and there's a lot of them, trust me, when they say, nah, it's never gonna happen, we shouldn't put our time into it, I'm putting enormous amounts of time in it, because here's the thing, the alternative is what? I'll tell you what the alternative is. Importing gas from Mexico and Canada at 3 times the cost we pay right now. That would be a disaster.
And you were asked...
For our country, for our state, for our workers, for our families. So it's exciting. This is, you know, and they're talking about what's called a final investment decision by the beginning of the year, FID they call it.
Yeah.
Usually when you hit FID, that means pretty much you're going.
Yeah.
And it's really exciting. So we got a lot more work to do. I'm pressing it. I was with a bunch of senior Taiwanese very recently. I met with their top people. I've been to Japan and Korea 4 times in the last 2 years to promote this project. But it's great having the Trump administration on board, but it's exciting. I mean, if we pull this off, the state of Alaska, it'll be like as big as TAPS, right? If the state of Alaska will have enormous opportunities.
And you mentioned, or you were asked at the end of the presentation about those enhanced premium tax credits, obviously something of really high debate. You've told us before you do support extending them, but tell us a little bit about the plan. Obviously the president seemed like he was going to announce something today. It doesn't seem like it's happened yet.
Yeah.
What's moving in DC right now on those subsidies?
Well, look, I have a draft bill right now that focuses on tapering these down over a 2-year period. As I mentioned, there's a cliff. Now, you know, you got to get through the talking points. Remember, the Democrats, when they had control of the House, Senate, and White House, they created Obamacare. Obamacare has not helped Alaskans with affordable health care. It just hasn't. We have the highest increase in premiums in the country by far. We almost lost every private insurer. It was right in my first couple of years in the Senate. As I told you, I called the HHS secretary of President Obama saying, what are we going to do? We've lost them all. We have 1 left. Our premiums are up over 500%. And this cliff was not created by Republicans. The cliff was created by the Democrats when they had the power. These are supposed to be temporary premium tax credits. And the cliff, the date they chose to cut them off was December of 2025. Look at what they did with electric vehicle subsidies. Those go into the 2030s. But on this, they said, we're going to cut it off at 2025. Be that as it may, my view among my colleagues, among the White House, I'm working with everybody is, hey, look, regardless of how we got here, which is, in my view, our Democratic friends, we need to try to address this. We need to take this seriously. The ADN did a good story on this recently about how this is going to impact small businesses. So I've been working, I have a bill that would reform the system, okay? Taper it. That means you don't have a cliff, you have a taper where you'd have minimum premiums for everybody. You'd have income limits. You would have restrictions on things like illegal aliens not being able to get this. And the broader reforms would be to take the money, and it's hundreds of billions, not to the insurance companies. The one thing that a lot of people miss on these premium tax credits, they don't go to Alaskans, they don't go to Americans, they go directly in the pockets of the insurance companies. As Alaskans have seen their healthcare costs increase, guess who's gotten very wealthy? All these big insurance companies, their stock prices are up, you know, huge. Their compensation for their executives. So the broader reforms are to take that money, not for the insurance companies, get it to Alaskans directly. Let them choose through what's called health savings accounts on where to spend that money. But to get there, I think you need a 2-year extension with reforms. Heck, I was talking to Senate Democrats today. I've been talking to the White House for weeks on this. Of course, Senate Republicans. So I'm very, very focused on it, and we'll see. I hope that people are serious about it.
And then before I got the chance to talk with Senator Sullivan, I actually got to speak with some of the protesters outside of that Make It Monday event. What you're about to listen to is one of my interviews with Courtney Moore. She was one of the protesters outside of the Denina Center where the Make It Monday forum was held. Take a listen to that. Courtney, tell me a little bit about what brings you out here. Obviously, Senator Sullivan about to speak at the Denina Center. What brings you out?
I'm curious why he's ignoring the 88 tribes that said no to Ambler Mine and ignoring tribal sovereignty. I'm curious what his plan is for affordable health care. I'm also curious why he hasn't given us a town hall and he's ignored his constituents while pocketing millions from big oil and gas.
And tell me a little bit about healthcare. Obviously, that's a pretty big topic right now with those extended subsidies, those still kind of up in the air. He said he wants to support extending them. What do you want to see from Senator Sullivan on healthcare?
I would like to see an actual solution where people aren't going bankrupt over getting sick or having to choose between paying their health care bill or putting food on their table. My quote was $1,800 a month for me and my 3 kids with a $10,000 deductible. So something that's actually affordable.
And then obviously that plan to, instead of sending money to insurance companies, the president and other Republican senators have said, well, let's send it to the people themselves. Where do you kind of stand on that plan? Are you familiar with it?
I'm not too familiar, but it's hard to take anything they say seriously when the unchecked greed and corruption is just running rampant and they're lining their pockets with millions of dollars from these corporations, and these healthcare corporations are millionaires and billionaires. So I would be really surprised if it worked out like that and the prices weren't still extremely high.
And then the senator obviously up for re-election pretty soon. There's no real strong competitor at this point. Obviously, Peltola's been thrown around. Where do you kind of stand on his re-election campaign? Do you think he has a given chance? He's been re-elected several times now.
I sure hope not. I hope we get a progressive candidate that's actually listening to the struggles of working class people. I think that's how MAGA was able to succeed, was people are struggling to put food on their table, to pay their bills, to get ahead, to buy a house. And MAGA gave them someone to blame. It's all a lie, unfortunately, but Democrats, I don't think, have really tuned in and been listening to those struggles.
Courtney, thank you for your time, ma'am. I really appreciate it. Thanks for talking to me. Thank you for listening to Alaska's Political Pipeline. If you like what you listen to, consider rating our podcast and giving us a follow. We'll be back in your feeds next Monday, but in the meantime, please take care.